Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago, I told people, just delete your Twitter account, deactivate it. I did that 2 years ago. It was the end of 2018. I do not have a Twitter account. I do not have a Facebook account. 2 years ago, I said it is completely worthless. It's a boiling pot, a cauldron of discontent and angst and frustration leveled at President Trump by disgruntled, angry Democrats. Now, President Trump made some missteps during his use of Twitter the past 4 years. He should never, in my humble view, he should never have gone after LeBron James or NFL players. If you look back, you got to think about what are some of the mistakes the president made. This way you get stronger and you could rebound. So I'm all about peaceful, strategic, intelligent, and thoughtful analysis to regain political influence. Hit subscribe to this channel. Get this channel. We're on our way to 200,000 subscribers. Tell your friends, tell your family about this channel. If you want to support my voice long term, because things are nuts, my Patreon is below and in the pinned comment description and on hagoodman.com. You can read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Roanoke Times, other publications, and you can see my debates. But I'm 2 years ahead of all of this. I said for 2 years, deactivate your Twitter account. It's going to eventually go bankrupt and become the MySpace of political media. Twitter is now a one-trick pony. Nobody goes on that platform to really debate sports or, talk about society or sports or movies. There's no reason to get into an argument with somebody you don't know. Life is tough enough. Why enter a cyber reality where somebody in one corner of the planet or one part of the U.S. can tell you how much they dislike you or how angry they are of you that you don't share their opinion, whether it's a political opinion or a viewpoint on sports or some kind of opinion on any other topic. It is a cyber reality where fleeting thoughts are amplified, fleeting, momentary, worthless, oftentimes, and inconsequential, split-second emotions, thoughts, sentiments, anything that pops in your mind that moment. You can just type within a certain number of characters, and it's almost always going to be missing context, nuance. People are going to get into disagreements with you. So it's a platform that's already beginning to lose money again because this year has been horrendous for Twitter. The stock tanked again. It has $3.4 billion in debt. I'll read you an article right now. But them banning President Trump was pretty much the nail in the coffin. The only reason people went to Twitter for the past 4 years, or even 5 or 6 years, it really gained prominence in about like 2015, 2016. And then for the past 4 years, it was simply a hornet's nest of condemnation, judgment, disdain and contempt for President Trump and Trump supporters. And there are ways that that Trump utilized it to his advantage, but there are other missteps that he made. Now you have President Biden. Okay? President Biden, you would think, would have, they won. The liberals at Twitter, the people who run the company, the wonderful CEO who meditates, if he only knew the negativity he's unleashed upon this planet with that nefarious cyber reality called Twitter. One would think that, since Democrats won, the left won, look, they won, President Biden might go 8 years now. He'll go, we know he's going to go 4 years. But you would think that the stock would go up. It's tanking after they banned President Trump. You would think that people would want to invest because now you've silenced and you've suppressed any suspicion or any ideas from conservatives and especially supporters of President Trump. So you would think that people want to be a part of this. Well, 80% of the revenues are from advertising. Why would advertisers go back? They're already leaving Facebook and Twitter, but Facebook's a giant company that owns like Instagram and a whole bunch of other companies. Twitter is a small, relatively smaller. It's much small. It's huge, but it's much smaller than Facebook, and it faces a lot more obstacles. And I want to read you this really quickly, and then I'll get back to my spiel. But here, Twitter shares are just plain overvalued. This is realmoney.thestreet.com. Here's where Jack Dorsey's ship will start to sink. Jim Collins, January 15, 2021. Now let me just read you. Okay, so after Thursday's column, I feel it's the right time to delineate my case against Twitter. So much of what I've read in the financial media on stocks is subjective, numbers-free blather, and in fact quite useless. So I have made it clear that Twitter is awful and awfully overvalued, but let's focus on the second part. So let's look at the numbers. How about a little factual financial analysis to bolster an opinion on stock? First, we start with revenues. I am limited in space in this column, so won't have the time to delve into Twitter's profitability metrics, but we live in a world where tech companies are valued based multiples of revs, so I will stick to that. The key to any analysis of financial statements is disaggregation. From Twitter, we start and finish with one metric given by management. MDUAs are monetizable daily active users. That's a bunch of nonsense, by the way. That's like that they just make this up. There's no monetizable daily users. You're trusting the company to tell you how many monetizable daily users they have. When you can just see what's going on. People are getting deplatformed. They're getting silenced. People are leaving. Whatever exodus is taking place, nobody knows who I am, really. I have a relatively small channel. It's approaching 200,000 subscribers. Tell your friends. Let's get to over 200,000. But I started this 2 years ago. I told people deactivate their Twitter account. I haven't had a Twitter account for 2 years. And things are better than ever, thank God for me. So you don't have to, like, Twitter has no bearing or emphasis on your YouTube channel or your writing or anything. It's just a cyber reality. But see, monetizable daily active users, have you ever seen an ad and then purchased something because you saw a Twitter ad? If you're a company and you're advertising on Twitter, you have money to just throw down the toilet. It's not going to be around in, like, people spend so much time emphasizing on tweets and the reaction to whatever is said on that site, in that cyber reality, that cyber forum. And this person tweeted this, and you know what? Cancel that person and make sure that person loses his or her job. And oh my God, I mean, your life can be ruined with one tweet. You might as well jump into a swamp full of alligators or crocodiles. You might as well, like, take a baseball bat and just try to bash a hornet's nest. See what happens. I mean, you might as well jump into shark-infested waters because the water is warm. The waters are warm and nice. I mean, you would be better served trying to chase down a polar bear than going on Twitter and just seeing what's going on, especially if you differ from the prevailing narrative on anything. It could be like anything. It's not just politics, but it's become a forum only for politics. So monetizable daily active users, they're losing money because in 2018 and 2019, It was the height. They made money in 2018 for the first time ever because that was the height of contempt against Trump. 2019, well, actually, that was the height. And then 2020 was just this dystopian world where people said, well, I don't have enough money to invest in advertising on Twitter. And furthermore, it's just a cauldron of negativity and unhappy people. Now you have President Biden for 4 years. What's the point of going on Twitter? They've banned President Trump. They're going to eventually silence or censor or ban 74 million supporters of President Trump. How are they going to generate the revenue? 80% of the revenues from advertising, and then the rest is from selling data about you, which is what Microsoft does. So, why would you do that? And they're on the ropes so much so that they want to get subscriptions. So Twitter says it's looking at subscription option as ad revenue drops sharply. Why would you invest in a company? The whole point of a digital commons is that it's free and you want to enter this forum, this digital commons of free thought and discourse. You want to have your idea, you want to express your ideas because you're protected by the First Amendment. And there's robust debate and discussion. People don't want to, they're not making enough money from just making it free. So now they're thinking of having it subscription based, which means what kind of individual is going to pay to go on Twitter? You very likely do not have a life what kind of individual is going to pay to just feel all these negative and horrible, what kind of individual is going to pay to have a negative experience? That's what I'm trying to say. But here, first we start with revenues. Okay, from Twitter. For Twitter, we start and finish with one metric given by management, MDAUs, or monetizable daily active users. Twitter changed to this metric in February 2019, and in and of itself, it is meaningless. Exactly, but it is a good base for modeling. Twitter's recent quarter report showed 187 million MDAUs, with 36 million users in the U.S. and 152 million abroad. Okay, so I'm assuming the difference is due to rounding. That's where Jack Dorsey's ship will start to sink. Twitter and every social media company receives a strong valuation based on user-based figures that are full of people who don't actually use the service, but do have an account. That's the point. The more you alienate people, the more people might, keep their account but not even look at it. Those user numbers are going to plummet. Exactly what I've been saying for 2 years. I'm 2 years ahead of all of this, ladies and gentlemen. I've been telling people for 2 years. People say, oh, you said things that didn't happen. Well, yeah, but I say things that do happen. I said Clinton would lose in 2016, and that was going up against, every mainstream outlet, every pollster. I mean, I deserve credit for that. But anyway, I said Trump would basically overcome the nonsensical, irrational, absurd Trump-Russia hoax. I was right. A lot of people were saying he would resign in 6 months. A lot of things I was saying on this channel were spot on. Now, am I right about everything? No. But I'm not Nostradamus. My opinions, however, are thoughtful. And I have the pulse of what's going on. People say, oh, the pulse of what's going on. And I do have the pulse of what's going on. Even when I'm wrong, I still have the pulse of what's going on oftentimes. These user numbers are going to plummet. I would expect this to happen when the first quarter numbers are reported in April. Not as much when full year results are reported February 9th. So in about a month, you'll see whether or not they made a profit. They might make a small profit. So what? They have a tremendous amount of debt, and they're going down the tubes. They're tanking. Now, you think Dorsey cares? No, he's a billionaire many times over. But he's not a billionaire, I don't think, from Twitter. He's a billionaire from his other company. Of course, Twitter probably gave him a great deal of money too. But so what? The platform has unleashed more negativity onto the world. If you come from the vantage point that President Trump has just poisoned the airwaves with vitriol and venom. Where do you think that he was able, if that's your mentality, I don't think that's the case. Because I think Democrats wanted this type of back and forth. Unfortunately, President Trump fed them too much of what they wanted. His achievements should be championed, but now, because of the message board people, everything's an unmitigated catastrophe and disaster politically. But anyway, Twitter is the platform not only for Russians to interfere in 2016 because of Twitter bots. This is all nonsense. But they're the platform where, all of this division and distrust emanated from. Because it's actually not Facebook. They're going after Facebook now. They should actually, the New York Times and the Washington Post should look at Twitter. Facebook is like, the one thing I could say in their defense, even though I can't stand Facebook, is that it's not really a forum for politics. It really is a forum for sharing what you ate for dinner. That's why it'll be around a lot longer than Twitter. Twitter is primarily a forum for politics. You have now ensured that nobody will look at it anymore, or that people won't care about what goes on because there's no more President Trump. Could you imagine President Trump for 4 years? The best thing they could do for their company is allow President Trump back on the platform. But now that they've banned President Trump, it's game over for Twitter. It was game over even before they banned President Trump, but now it's the nail in the coffin. But here, how long can they go? Well, Twitter's user base is small to begin with, so the initial drop-off will be quite noticeable. It is the international numbers that are more difficult to divine. Twitter's Public Affairs Division Thursday astoundingly criticized the government of... So they were banned. This is hilarious. Okay. On a real user basis, I would expect Twitter usage to fall by about 50%. So Uganda made the right decision. The absolute right decision. If you play by that game, you're going to have other countries say, we don't even want to deal with you. So Uganda made the absolute best decision possible. On a real user basis, I would expect Twitter usage to fall by about 50% here in the U.S. and for the service to be banned in other countries. Exactly. Why? If you're another country and all you see in American media is, oh my God, look at what happened in this social media platform. Why would you then want to deal with it? That leaves a real user base of 69 million for Twitter. Of course, they will twist the numbers to appear better. That's what did I just say? Or use whatever new metric they can fabricate. What did I just tell you? So this article is spot on. Extract that number that's aggressive. Okay, apply it to your real user base of 69 million. Annualized revenues of 1.2 billion, 25 billion for Twitter. This contrasts to the full year number of 3.46 billion in 2019 and my estimate for 2020 revenue of 3.25 billion. The company was already shrinking, but now the dam will burst, in my view. Even after this week's pullback, Twitter shares were still trading at 10 times revenue. Okay. Using our true revenue estimates of 1.2 billion, we derive a fair value of Twitter of $15.63. So it's now at like 40 something. It's been tanking almost every day since they banned President Trump. All right. The platform is completely useless, and they're looking into a subscription base because ad revenues have been tanking. 80% of their revenues are from advertising. The rest is just selling data from associated with user activity and what people buy and look at and all that stuff. Ask yourself, after Trump's ban, are they going to increase in popularity or decrease? If they're going to decrease in popularity in about 3, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe sooner, this company will become MySpace. Give me your thoughts below. Trump, yet again, you go after Trump, it's like the unintended consequences. They will become the MySpace of political media within years. And the world will be a better place without that platform. There's nothing good. Tell me a good, like YouTube, there's a lot of good. Okay, you can have, not just because I'm a YouTuber, but there's a lot of good. You can have, this is enjoyment for a lot of people. Okay, it's not just information, but it's enjoyment. Have you enjoyed anything on Twitter ever? By the way, if you see that Twitter impersonator of mine who's breaking the law every day, report them to Twitter. But have you seen anything good on Twitter? Is there any good? It's pretty much nothing. It's only negative. Give me your thoughts below. The company's going to be MySpace of political media in a couple years. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.